Good evening, everyone. My name is Brad West, Mayor of the City of Port Coquitlam, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2019 City of Port Coquitlam Volunteer Recognition Awards. Tonight's a very special night. It's our opportunity to thank the people who make Port Coquitlam the special place that it is. Regardless of what you do, regardless of the volunteering that you're doing in our community, whether it's a big project or something small, it all adds up to make Port Coquitlam the very special place it is. So I'm pleased to welcome everyone to the Gagel Dam here in downtown Port Coquitlam, and thank you. Thank you for doing everything that you do to make Port Coquitlam such a special community.
Actually, it's appreciations, technically volunteer recognition awards and tributes.
That's exactly right.
You can read. This is what we get for working off book all the time.
Exactly. We're super happy to have you guys here tonight. We are always honored to host this event because, as some of you may know, this is very close to my heart. My father actually volunteered in the city of Port Coquitlam for years and years up until he passed away a few years ago, and so it was something that meant a lot to him and therefore means a lot to our family, and we're super honored to have you guys here, so thank you very much for coming. We have the honor of introducing our guest speaker this evening. His name is Marco Pasqua. Do you guys know Marco Pasqua? Yes, very good. He's fantastic. He's an entrepreneur, an accessibility consultant, an inspirational speaker. Tonight, here he is right here. He brings us his message, his passion, and what he learned on his personal journey. So please, everybody, welcome Marco Pasqua.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You know, being in a room filled with so many people who are dedicated and committed to volunteering, it really does fill my heart with joy. Not just because I myself have been volunteering for as long as I can remember, but also because of the fact that I think it's important to recognize all of you here in the city of Port Coquitlam and all the great things that you've been able to do to impact this city. So I think you should give yourself a round of applause. Now, as you all know, tonight's theme is volunteers, the heart of PoCo. But what does that mean to you? I know that volunteering means something different for everyone, and if you look at your screens, you can see that I have an image there with a heart that has different words on the inside. Some says hope, community, kindness, people, and you know, separately, these are all just words. But when you put them together, they actually add up to make a bigger picture to really emphasize what volunteering truly means. And I think it's really important that we recognize the power of community and everyone coming here together. You are the reflection of so many hard hours of dedication and work, and more importantly, people are inspired by the work that you do. In fact, in some cases, you even change people's lives. I know this all too well because for myself, I know that there's many programs and services I accessed as a kid that wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the many volunteers that supported my family, especially being somebody with a disability. So throughout my talk tonight, I'm going to share with you some of my personal stories of going through my journey of volunteerism and how it's really impacted me and my family in so many different ways. One of the ways it's impacted me is through fundraisers. So people coming together and give their hard-earned money and time to show that dedication. The coaches who taught me how to believe in myself. Mentors who showed me that anything is possible when you invest the right kind of energy and commitment to yourself. And of course, community members who were out there, and in my case, having a focus on accessibility and inclusion, which is huge for me because it means that everybody has the opportunity, equal opportunity, to enjoy the places they live, work, and play. So I hope by the time I'm done, you recognize that I'm only one of countless people who've been impacted by volunteerism, both as a recipient and also as somebody who's actually out there doing it too. And I've got a great deal of pride for what my city has been able to accomplish as well. I'm going to share a little bit of that too. But before I go to what that is, I got to take you way back in the Wayback Machine. So mind this photo of myself. Now, I don't know if you guys can see from where you're sitting, but this is actually me with legendary radio host Red Robinson, okay? And Red's been a mentor of mine my entire life, and you have the proof now that that's the case. Now, For me, this was important because what we're doing here is we're actually at a telethon. Does anyone remember the Timmy's Christmas telethon? Yeah. This is something that was huge for me because the programs that were supported through Timmy's helped me go to summer camp so that I could feel just like every other kid. I wasn't made to feel like I had a disability. I was shown that I could go out there and be involved in activities and be involved just like any other kid. And the cool thing for me is this is the moment where I realized volunteerism is real. Because it takes a lot to get a production like this off the ground. But you have so many people both on and off the camera that are volunteering their time, not just staff, but volunteers that really drive this message home. And even as a young kid, when I witnessed this, I realized, wait a minute, I might not be the strongest person physically at this moment, but I do have something. I've got my voice. And maybe there's a tool there that I can actually use. And with Red's encouragement, I actually was able to harness that tool, use it, and show that having a disability doesn't necessarily mean that it's a disadvantage. You can use that as a platform for positive change. But rather than sit here and talk to you all about that experience, I'm lucky enough that I actually have the exact moment recorded when Red told me, why don't you come back here as an ambassador maybe next year and show everyone what you're really made of. And when he told me that, I definitely took those words forward. Anyways, take a look.
If people keep on sending each year, then we can keep on going into Camp Squamish and having a good time.
I couldn't put it better, Marco.
I'd like to say, if you could show this to the people on my check, how much...
Sure, my pleasure. My pleasure, Marco. This is the little check. Hold that end there, son. And I'll hold the other end. There we go. There he is. He's holding it up. It says $100, huh? Thank you, Marco.
Thank you, Marco.
Marco, you know what I think? Marco, I think next year we'll get you to do all of the little things they call promotions or commercials for Timmy's. Would you like to do that?
Yeah.
Big hand for Marco here. Thank you.
I guess, there you go, yeah. I guess even then, Red could recognize that I had a passion for the mic. Although I don't know if he knew I was going to take it so literally. And in fact, this led me down a volunteering blitz that I would never be able to turn back from and would change my life forever. Over the next couple of years, I went on a mad dash of going to different presentations, being on radio shows, talk shows. I mean, it was truly incredible. And I even approached other organizations to say, hey, you were there to help my family. What can I do to give back to you? I want to do volunteering. I want to give back more. Now, I guess one of the only downsides is that as I was in elementary school during this time, I was finding myself a lot more in the principal's office. That's not because I was actually a bad kid. It was literally the only place in the school where I could do the radio interviews at the crack of dawn, right? So people were wondering where I was being called in. But the only downside was I had to miss recess, and what kid wants to miss recess? But it was really cool. And from there, I actually started to carry this on to the rest of my life. This helped me to discover new strengths and talents within myself that I didn't even know I had. You see, I started to get involved in sports and involved in my community. I started to find out things about myself that were fantastic, and the fact that all of these programs were volunteer run just made it that much better. Now, it's a little tough to see, but there's an image in the middle to the left where I'm actually holding what looks to be a little bit of a rifle or a gun. Now, let me explain. I was involved in wheelchair track and field, swimming, and a few other sports, and this is actually part of a triathlon. So I always tip my hat at this guy who was brave enough to give somebody with cerebral palsy, who's spastic and jumpy at loud noises, a rifle. But he did end up unscathed, so it was okay? So that was good. But even better is that my volunteer coaches, in the photo over there that says Zone 3, this enabled me to compete in the BC Summer and Winter Games for athletes with disabilities. We got all the way to the finals in wheelchair basketball, and I brought home several gold, silver, and bronze medals for the province, and that was incredible. That was truly a remarkable thing that all started from volunteerism. Another cool thing was I actually got to meet some of the people that I've looked up to my entire life. In the bottom left corner, that's the very first time that I met the legendary Rick Hansen, the man in motion. And Rick has been somebody that's been in my life for a very long time now, and I'm happy to say that I've actually since been able to work with Rick on a number of different projects. Maybe that's where my passion for accessibility is continually staying alive and showing that anything is possible. Now, I want to share with you a story about courage and determination. As I said, one of my sports was swimming. And this story is always hard for me to tell because it really shook me. So one of the summer games, I had just finished a race, and I always said that I was really decent at swimming simply because if you put somebody with cerebral palsy in water, it's extremely cold. It's Olympic temperature waters, so I would always race as fast as I could simply to get out of the water as quick as I could. So that's why I always say that I did very well. But at the end of this race, the officials were running a little bit behind, and they didn't realize I hadn't left the pool yet. And the next set of athletes that were coming in, to my luck, were actually blind athletes. And they had to do a dive into the lane to start their race. So the next thing I hear is bang for a starting gun, and I thought, wait a minute, I'm not out of the pool yet. And I looked up to see an athlete coming right down on top of me, which he then hit me, knocked me unconscious because he didn't see me. And the next thing I remember is I was being pulled out of the water by my coach. This was a really traumatizing moment for me because for the next several months, I had a really tough time getting back in the water. Anytime I hit the water, I had an extreme fear of anything water-based. And as you can imagine, my standing started to get lower and lower and lower, and I wasn't competing as well. But the greatest thing was my volunteer coach, she still believed in me. She told me not to give up on myself, and she actually assigned another volunteer to actually walk up and down the lane with me as I was swimming to help me regain my confidence. And I'll never forget this person. Her name's Peggy. And every single race I went on, she came with me. And they made sure that I was always in the outside lane so that I could continue to swim and literally feel like there was an angel or somebody watching over me until such time that I got the courage and determination to push past that fear and move on. So that was a really important time for me because if it wasn't for that volunteer, if it wasn't for that commitment of that volunteer, I don't know where I would be today. And I'm thinking that for many of you, you may be put into a volunteer situation where you're not exactly sure of all the things that you're being asked, or it may seem trivial, or maybe not that fun, or not that great, but I can tell you that it's creating a ripple effect that is changing people's lives. And I'm very, very grateful that Peggy was there for me, and we're still friends to this day. Now, about changing perceptions on ability. From here, I was actually able to take my love for sports and my love for human connection and combine them. There was an organization called the Active Living Alliance for Canadians with Disabilities. And every summer, they would hold a youth exchange in Ottawa where people would come from all different provinces to do different sporting activities for people with disabilities. And for many of these delegates, this would be the first time ever that they'd ever been exposed to any kind of sports because oftentimes, especially if they're from rural communities, we even had people come as far away as Yellowknife and Whitehorse. So the access to different sports just wasn't a possibility. So I said, yeah, I'll sign up for that. I originally signed up to be a chaperone because I used to be a delegate at this exchange. And to my surprise, I got a letter in the mail that said, congratulations on you being selected as a leader. The difference being, I have 5 kids with disabilities to take care of myself. So that was an experience, a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day, for the entire 7 days, working with these kids completely voluntarily and showing them what they're really made of. Now that's something I could get behind. So we got to do cool things with them, things like water tubing, sledge hockey, even adapted breakdancing. You see in the bottom corner there. That kid loved the breakdancing. I remember that. And in the top right corner, you see I included a photo of us all on a bus. And this is not just an arbitrary photo. I did this because knowing myself and knowing all the other kids who use adapted equipment in their own hometowns, people with disabilities often are made to feel segregated. They're made to feel different from everyone else. They're even potentially brought on a different bus simply because it's the bus that has the ramp on it. And at this camp, this is the first time for many of these kids that we were all being brought literally in the same vehicle. All being shown that we're the same as anyone else, regardless of what our abilities are, or regardless of the challenges that we may face. That was really eye-opening for me. And I thought, well, nothing can get quite bigger than the sports that we're doing already. Sledge hockey, tubing, I mean, this is crazy. Breakdancing, I didn't quite try it in my wheelchair, that would be crazy, but yeah. Until we went to a rock climbing gym. Now that was an experience. And I remember my youth, my delegates coming up to me and saying, there is no way I'm gonna do that. And I think they were trying to call me out. I don't think they realized I had an athletic background. So they said, okay, Marco, if you'll go up and you climb all the way to the top of the wall and you touch that top of the wall, then I'll do it too. And they're all giggling to themselves because they figure I'm gonna say no. Of course, I say challenge accepted. So the next thing I do is I hop out of my chair, and I'm mostly using my arm strength here, which was interesting for my knees, to say the least, because I'm not really able to push that strongly off the wall, but I didn't care. I had a point to prove, and I had to show these kids that they really had everything that they didn't think they had. So slowly, I started to make my way up the wall, until finally, I touched the top of the wall. Thanks, yeah, no, thank you. And the reason I included this story was not to boast at all, no. It was the fact that I was looking down, I got to look back at my youth and actually see the looks on their faces and their jaws dropping, because now they knew they were committed, right? But the cool thing was that was my opportunity to really show what a role model is and to shatter self-perceptions. These kids, this was the first time that they'd ever seen anyone in a chair leave their chair and now be at the ceiling. So we had volunteer firefighters there because we had some delegates in 500-pound power chairs, quite heavy, that don't have the arm strength to pull themselves up. And they started to get quite upset. Actually, some started to cry because they thought, well, here's another activity that I'm segregated from. I can't do this. But they didn't know that this camp is incredible. And they had harnesses prepared so that they could have any of the campers strapped into a harness, and even if they couldn't use their own arm strength to pull themselves up, those firefighters were ready to go to pull them up. And I remember for myself looking up at my delegates and seeing the looks on their faces when they realized that they had reached the top of the wall. And that was a powerful moment for me because I know that they went back home to their friends, to their parents, and they were just ecstatic about everything that they'd experienced. And to me, that's true change. To me, that's volunteerism. That's what you're doing. That's the impact you're creating. And so I carried this forward through my life and through my career. As I said, this sparked my passion as a speaker, so I went out there and have done as much as I possibly can. There's a photo again with me and Rick, and I've even been able to go on local TV and things like this to talk about accessibility in an easy way that anybody can understand. You know, for me, this is about connection and connecting with like-minded people. In the volunteerism work that you guys do, I'm sure that there's opportunities where you've connected with people on, different things that you really enjoy, and you didn't think that there'd be an opportunity to maybe meet this person outside of this opportunity, but it's because of volunteerism, and it's because of deciding to get yourself out there and actually do something that you were able to meet the people that you were hoping to meet. And that's definitely true for myself. And now I took this to civic pride. After my work with the Rick Hansen Foundation, I got a call from the city of Surrey, where I happen to live, and they said, look, we know the work you've been doing with Rick, and how would you actually like to work with us, maybe on a part-time basis, helping us to expand our initiatives for accessibility in the city. And I was like, well, that's good too, but are there any committees or groups that I can volunteer for as well? They said, well, as a matter of fact, there are. We have something called the Measuring Up Committee. And this were established back in 2010 during the Olympics to make sure that everyone had access to those events. But the Measuring Up Committee in Surrey is only one of two remaining, and we're the only active committee out of both of those two, which is incredible. And in the time that I've been with the Measuring Up Committee now, almost going on 4 years, we've done some incredible things with the city. An inclusive hiring fair, being able to install ramps where there didn't used to be ramps, but more importantly, shattering people's attitudinal barriers about what is possible from the people in our community. And I think that that's really what's incredible about what you guys are doing as volunteers, is that every single time you're part of an event, you're part of an activity, you're truly helping to shatter those expectations, and you're probably opening the eyes of a lot of people too. And the community impact here is incredible in the city of PoCo. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a photo of the PoCo youth crew in the corner, and when I was doing research for this presentation, I thought, how incredible is that you have a youth crew that you're teaching leadership skills to young adults. I mean, that's great. And then there's the PoCo Grand Prix. That's pretty neat. I can't say that I'm quite the cyclist as far as my athleticism is concerned, but you get to wear those cool looking yellow vests. Now, I remember, and I'm obviously going to say that we're not doing it for the yellow vests. We don't do it for the pins. We don't do it for the t-shirts. We do it for the impact, right? And I know that it's, even though it's one day of intense racing for professional athletes, that there's a lot of work that goes in both before and after that event to ensure that it's a success. And I know personally, I've seen that, I've been a part of those things. That's no easy feat, so kudos to all of you who put on these events and encourage people to get out there and get active. You actually may be helping somebody reach their personal best simply because you really gave them a nice smile in the morning and helped them get their coffee before they started their race. Every single thing you do creates a ripple effect, and that's definitely something I've learned along the way. I like to say it takes you from passive to active. So instead of just learning about what's going on in your community, you actually have the opportunity to get out there, get active, and get involved. And I'm going to end actually with a quote that came directly from your volunteer website, but it summarizes tonight in such great detail, and that is, never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So I encourage all of you to continue to go out there, be change makers, be leaders. I have such gratitude for you, and thank you for being part of the piece that helped to change my life. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Marco. Can we just give him another round of applause? So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Giggle Dam and the City of Port Coquitlam's 2019 Volunteer Recognition Awards and Tribute. Now, I know many of you heard that the mayor was going to be here and you've been looking for a tall, bald guy. I get it, it's taking a while to get used to a mayor with a full head of hair. I have overused that so many times, but you know, it's still kind of new. In all seriousness, it is such an honor to be here to honor and celebrate the people who make Port Coquitlam the very special place it is, and that's all of you. So let's have a big round of applause for all of you. Our theme this year is Volunteers, the Heart of PoCo, and it speaks to how much volunteers give to this community. You provide crucial support to programs and services in Port Coquitlam, which helps create our PoCo pride and spirit that makes this city so unique. You truly are the heart of our community. We know you do what you do for the love of Port Coquitlam and aren't looking for kudos or gratitude. But you deserve our recognition tonight and our thanks. So we're here tonight to show you some love. Tonight is your night. I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this tribute to you. I want to thank very much the Giggle Dam for hosting us. For those of you who've not experienced their special form of entertainment, you're going to get a little taste of what you can expect when you come for the full meal deal. The Giggle Dam is a local favorite. They are absolute staples and pillars in our community, and I thank them so much for hosting us tonight. So can we have a round of applause for them? As I reflected upon our gathering tonight, I think back to an opportunity I had just a couple weeks ago to sit down with one of our senior citizens who is a volunteer in our community, and we talked about volunteering and why he volunteers. And you know, he said something to me that is kind of stuck, and I thought it was pretty profound. Actually, I want to share it with you. I said to him, you know, what is it about volunteering in the community? He said, the two greatest gifts that we have to give is our labor and our love. And as a volunteer, you're able to do both. You're able to give really a labor of love and give back to a community that's given so much to you. And I just thought,
that to me just summed it up so perfectly. He talked about how every act of volunteerism, whether it's a small or big act, sends a little ripple of hope out. And in the moment, you may not know that the volunteerism that you're doing is affecting people in such a profound way. But it's those little ripples that really add up to make change. And so I just, that really stuck with me. And when I think about Port Coquitlam and what makes our community special, it's not the Coast Marine overpass. It's not the roads. It's not the amazing, fantastic, state-of-the-art, cutting-edge, $132 million new community center we're building. Those things help. But it really is the people. It's the people that make Port Coquitlam the place it is. And it's the people like you who, without any expectation of recognition, serve your community and serve our residents. And so thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for making Port Coquitlam the amazing place it is. Thank you. And finally, it's my pleasure to introduce Darren Wong, Community and Indigenous Relations Manager with Fortis BC, who are the sponsor of tonight's event. This is Fortis BC's 21st year of supporting our awards. So please give them a huge round of applause for that remarkable contribution to our community. Darren.
Thanks very much, Mayor West. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here celebrating both National Volunteer Week as well as the Volunteer Recognition Awards on the traditional territory of the Coquitlam First Nation. As Mayor West mentioned, my name is Darren Wong, and I am the Community and Indigenous Relations Manager for the communities that we serve in the Lower Mainland. As Mayor West also mentioned, Fortis BC has been a proud sponsor of this event for 21 years. Fortis BC, as a supplier of energy to 1.2 million customers across 135 communities across BC, is a strong supporter of the communities we serve, whether it's supporting the Hyde Creek Watershed Society, the Port Coquitlam Rivers and Trails Festival, or Share Family and Community Services. We truly believe in giving back to the communities that we serve. While sometimes there are bumps on the road, like on Como Lake Avenue, it is the Giggle Dam after all, so I had to get in a joke. We also support all of our customers, including many of you, as well as our important partners, such as the City of Coquitlam, in the transition to a low-carbon energy future. And on the subject of volunteering, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank both the City of Coquitlam, as well as many of you, for conserving your natural gas use, whether it was taking shorter showers or turning down the heat following the Enbridge pipeline rupture last fall in Prince George. Your efforts really did help us get through the winter. We at Fortis BC recognize that volunteers are truly the heart of vibrant, healthy, and sustainable communities. And on behalf of Fortis BC, I'd like to thank all the volunteers tonight, as it's through your hard work and dedication that truly makes Port Coquitlam a very special place. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you very much, Darren. And on behalf of the City of Port Coquitlam, Mike Forrest, here is PoCo Sway. Okay, at this time I would like to also recognize last year's awards recipients who have a very difficult task. So in PoCo, true PoCo fashion, you win an award and we ask you to do something. And so you're part of the selection committee in reviewing the nominations and helping choose this year's winners, which I can tell you was a very, very challenging task. So I want to introduce Jan Borg and Nikki Hillman, who are both here tonight. And I also want to recognize Terry Sachenko and Justin Baines, who couldn't attend but who did help us with our selection. So thank you to all of you for taking your time to help us with that. And I'm going to be inviting each member of council to come up and present awards to the lucky winners, but I'm going to kick us off on behalf of Councillor Makura in presenting our first award in the category of Arts, Heritage, and Cultural Awareness. In this category, we honor those who help preserve and celebrate Port Coquitlam's past and promote the arts and cultural development of our community. The benefits of arts, culture, and heritage are a critical part of the fabric that makes us community. They define us, they nourish us, and they give us a sense of place and pride. This year, we received 3 nominations in the category. As I announce each of your names, please stand up so we can see who you are. To our audience, please keep your applause to the end so each person's name can be heard. Linda Dory, Christine Malone, and Ainsley Wong Meldrum. Let's have a big round of applause for these dedicated individuals. This year's recipient is a member of the Art Focus Group, dedicated to all aspects of the association and steps up wherever she can. For example, she was the one who volunteered to take on the duties of the treasurer until a more permanent replacement was found. At the drop-in days, she's the one who takes over when the regular volunteer is not around to make coffee and clean up. She always goes the extra mile and has completed 225 hours of volunteer time. Some highlights of her work include participating in the painting of the mural on the Shaughnessy Street underpass, past director and treasurer of Friends of Lee Square, past member of the exhibition committee for the Gathering Place. As part of her nomination, she received 16 additional letters of support and endorsements. Here's just some of the positive comments that were made about her. Her attitude is amazing. She has leadership qualities and gets involved in her community and has a smile for everyone. She just keeps giving of herself and is truly dedicated and supportive. She's professional and warm in welcoming others to our club. By now, I'm sure you have a pretty good idea of who we're talking about, so I'm very pleased to announce the recipient of the 2019 Volunteer Recognition Award for Arts, Heritage, and Cultural Awareness is Christine Malone. Again for Christine. And I'd now like to invite Councillor Steve Darling to present our next award.
Thank you very much for that, Mayor West. He's doing a great job as our MC tonight. Well done. Here's one fan. And I believe that was his wife. 88%, right, I forgot, yes. It's my pleasure to announce the award in the Caring and Safety category. This category honors those who enrich our community through their caring and humanitarian actions and who work to make Port Coquitlam a safer place for all of us. Many of these volunteers are people you see out in the community. They're patrolling the streets to make them safer. They're counseling others and building social connections. The number of recipients repeatedly nominated in this category from year to year is a testament that we have many individuals that are striving to make Port Coquitlam a great place to live and a great place to raise a family. We all benefit from their caring nature, their attitudes and contributions that make us proud of our community that we call home. This year we received 8 nominations, and I call out the names of the nominees. Would you please stand and be recognized? Susan Barnes, Teresa Dempsey, there's the other fan, George Dixon, Bob Lee, Raymond Melville, Gregory Old, Maria Shylov, and Alex Turner. Now, this year's recipient has volunteered at our local community police station to assist with various projects within the city. One of her nominators wrote that she is end all and be all and knows everything there is to know about community policing and crime prevention. Another nominator wrote that she is a leader and change maker with a caring heart who devotes a significant portion of her free time to volunteering in the local community and beyond. She is passionate and committed and always looked for opportunities within our community to improve the quality of life in Port Coquitlam. She is a huge advocate for volunteering in Port Coquitlam, attending every recruitment campaign to encourage more volunteers to join. Some of the programs that she's been involved with include bike patrols, foot patrols, public education presentations, the PoCo Grand Prix, and helping the city's fire and emergency services department. She is the team lead of the city's anti-graffiti audit program and has expanded the program to include more hotspots. She also helps with the Dress for Success program, where she developed a nutrition course for low-income single mothers to develop their own nutrition programs. She's received other awards for this, including the National Community Champions Award. This nominee is definitely inspiring and very deserving of this award. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to announce the recipient of the 2019 Award for Caring and Safety, Maria Shylov. Would you please, give a warm welcome Councillor Laura DuPont to the stage. Laura, come on up.
Thank you, Councillor Darling. I am here tonight and honored to present the Award for Environmental Protection and Enhancement. This award honors volunteers who are committed to promoting and preserving Port Coquitlam's environment for future generations. They do whatever it takes to protect nature's legacy. Sometimes that involves attending meetings, raising funds, and finding ways to educate and engage the public. I can tell you from personal experience, sometimes that involves putting on some hip waders and getting into a muddy stream, or pulling English ivy from a grove of trees. As I call out the names of the nominees for this category, would you please stand? David Belgrove, Sparrow Chambers, and Terry Medeski. This year's recipient has volunteered for over 25 years in the area of environmental enhancement activities, and this year alone has logged in approximately 325 hours. This recipient's technical skills have been essential in helping the group she volunteers establish a presence on the web and social media. This individual is an active environmental volunteer with groups such as Friends of the de Beauville Slough, Riverview Horticultural Center Society, Tree Fest Planning Committee, and most recently with PoCo Heritage Trees. This recipient has received new supporting nomination acknowledgements from surrounding environmental groups like the Burke Mountain Naturalists and Maple Creek Stream Keepers. Her positions have ranged from volunteer coordinator, event organizer, site planner, to vice president and president. Terry's done it all. She is described as an ardent preservationist and a strong voice for the environment. She has built a reputation of someone that can be counted on to do everything from taking part in knotweed work parties, nature walks, and cleanups, but most importantly for sharing her knowledge, passion, and deep appreciation for protecting our environment. A well-deserved recipient, known for her tireless effort, dedication, and enthusiasm, I already blew the secret. It is my privilege and honor to announce the recipient of the 2019 Award for Environmental Protection and Enhancement, Terry Medeski. Thank you and congratulations, Terry. Councillor Washington.
Thank you for that warm introduction. I have the pleasure. Did I turn this off? No, here we go. I have the pleasure of introducing the next award in the category of sports and recreation. Sorry, Councillor Pollack, I know you've done this for the past, I don't know, how old are you? This category honors volunteers who enhance the quality of physical activity in Port Coquitlam. They contribute to the management and or operations of sports or recreation activities or demonstrate outstanding dedication to Port Coquitlam's sports and recreation community. The city strongly believes that sport and recreation helps create a healthy and complete community. Not only do most of the nominees have their own family and sport-related functions to attend, but they volunteer so the other families and children also have the opportunity to become part of a team. Again, as I call your names of the nominees, would you please stand? Dan Borma, Diane McPhee, Carrie Pearson, and Hannah Price. This volunteer leads the way in a sport that many of us love to do in more social setting than a competitive setting. The recipient has volunteered almost 400 volunteer hours alone just this past year. Over the past 20 years, this individual has coached girls in junior, bantam, and senior teams, leading to silver and bronze medals in national and provincial tournaments. The sport and competition of bowling is this nominee's passion. She loves sharing, coaching, and passing along the skills to others that feels the same. Over the past years, she has concentrated most of her volunteer time building youth bowling programs in Port Coquitlam. She also bowls in ladies leagues and the Classic League weekly at PoCo and is the lead organizer for the senior bowling workshops in Port Coquitlam. She earned a well-deserved 25-year pin in 2010 as teaching masters coach bowler. Heartfelt appreciation is given to one of her biggest supporters, Brian Medeski of PoCo Bowl. Our nominee feels that he is the reason that she has been able to make a difference for many youth in the community and offer one of the best programs in Canada. And I have to agree because, as many as you know, our family are bowling people, a bowling family, and this recipient has coached my children. I'm sure all the volunteers in this room share the same sentiments that it's not always the work of one individual, but many. And so it is with those testaments that I'm pleased to announce this year's Sports and Recreation Award recipient is Diane McPhee. And those are big accomplishments because that's the longest speech I've ever given at these awards. Oh, and she coaches my grandson Saturday mornings, 11 o'clock. Next, speaking of seniors, I'd like to call up our next presenter, the senior member of PoCo City Council, Mr. Dale Perry.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Councilor Washington. All right. The U21 category honors Port Coquitlam youth aged 21 or younger who have demonstrated outstanding contributions in our community. We can never say enough about the pride and the value we feel about the youth who are contributing and volunteering in our community. They're at a stage in their lives where they're concerned about building their own future and a better future. Youth nominees bring fresh ideas to our programs. They have lots of energy and act as positive, valuable role models, not just to their peers, but for all of us here. This year we received 6 nominees for this category. And can you please stand as I call your name? Keelan Hamill, Dmitry Koschukov, Kira Murray, Emma Ould, Benjamin Ould, and Ashton Ramsey. They're all standing, great. There you go. Tonight's recipient is a positive role model for the PoCo community and the first PoCo Scout group. She, there's a clue, is well liked and is an inspiration to youth and leaders involved in all sections. Oh no. All right. This nominee has taken on a variety of leadership roles and represents the youth within the program at Youth Group Commission. She is actively involved in fundraising events, which ensures programs and camp activities can continue. She has taken part in environmental and community projects and several outdoor volunteer achievements. This recipient has contributed over 500 hours, I think the top so far tonight, this year, supporting local events such as annual Remembrance Day Parade, Rotary Day Parade, and food and clothing drives. Recently, this nominee received the Medal of Maple Award, which is one of the highest level awards a youth can receive in Scouts. Her nominator wrote, "She can always be counted on for help when is needed, and she is deserving of this recognition." Please join me in representing this well-deserved honored youth leader category U21 awarded to, folks, drum roll. There we go. Kira Murray. Congratulations. Councillor Pollock, come on down.
Thrilled to be here as usual. This is one of my favorite events, recognizing our volunteers. It's amazing how many volunteers we have in Port Coquitlam, and thanks to you all. I'm pleased to present the award for our next category, Youth Programs. This category recognizes those who support youth through the development, provision, or participation in youth programs and activities. Volunteers who work with youth are fulfilling a special role to help youth to be future leaders. They give valuable insight, guidance, and direction to the youth they work with to build their capacity. They make sure the youth have the tools and support they need to get their work done, everything from scheduling to providing a meal. They also act as positive role models and show that giving back helps build a better community for everyone. As I call the names of this year's nominees, please stand. Corey Archer, Linda Kozina, Donna Lawson, and Jake Rogalski. Could we please have a big round of applause for all those nominees? All fantastic volunteers. This recipient is a longtime PoCo resident. Not only are her days consumed with a full-time job and raising a family, but also volunteering during the evenings and weekends. One nominator wrote of her, she gives back continuously to her community, providing a strong leadership role while creating fun, exciting, and safe opportunities and giving back tirelessly. She is a volunteer with Girl Guides, where she leads both Brownie and Pathfinder units. She also lends her hand and experience and expertise as a Deputy District Commissioner. She is a role model to her co-guiders, helping mentor and develop their skills and helping them to explore and learn the guiding experience. She has touched the lives of so many of the citizens of Port Coquitlam and is creating future citizens who will continue to serve the community, having learned from her, as she is an excellent role model and mentor. I am pleased to announce the recipient of the 2019 Youth Programs Award winner is Donna Lawson. Unfortunately, Donna is not able to join us this evening, so I'll accept the award on her behalf, and staff will make arrangements to get the award to Donna. Don't need a picture of me. Now, Councillor West, or am I Donna? Sorry, Donna. Or Mayor West, sorry, buddy.
That has actually happened a few times, I have to say. And my rule is you're allowed one. That's your one, Councillor. Folks, before I announce the Lifetime Volunteer, I'd like to take a moment to remember and honor volunteers who passed away this year. These are people who built our community, who've made it what it is. As I say their names, would you please join me in a moment of silence? John Brown, Margaret Ricky Mead, Enzo Madeline, and Bertha Washington Walker. Thank you very much. Each one of these individuals touched many lives, and we're grateful to the contributions that they've made to our community. And we stand on their shoulders, and we benefit from what they contributed. It's my pleasure now to present the 2019 Lifetime Volunteer Award. The Lifetime Volunteer Award recipient are individuals who have dedicated many years to improving Port Coquitlam through their volunteer service. Every nominee has shared their time, heart, soul, and passion in the areas to which they've contributed. Picking just one person is always difficult because as a community, we benefit greatly in different ways from each of their contributions. Our recipient this year is a longtime resident of Port Coquitlam. Her career was in the customer service area, and her involvement in volunteerism is a very long list, but here's just a few highlights. She started the hospice process in the Tri-Cities and was the hospice manager with Crossroads Inlet Center Hospice. She was the past president of the Tri-Cities Seroptimus, director with the Port Coquitlam Community Foundation, helped with the school district's CABI program and Westfield's LIFT program. Through her role as a director with the Port Coquitlam Community Foundation, she's responsible for helping youth secure grants and scholarships that help them move forward in a variety of education programs. Most of the young people she works with are at risk and have minimal family support. She sets herself up as their Uber grandmother encouraging dozens and dozens of young people to new paths in their lives. If they didn't have her support, many of these youth would have little hope, and she offers them opportunities for career and family. Her nominator wrote that she's a joyful, energetic, smart, determined, and above all else, 100% dedicated to the lives of youth at risk. They love her, and they know who she is in their lives. The impact that she's having is astounding. It's my honor to announce the 2019 Port Coquitlam Lifetime Volunteer Award recipient is Linda Cozina. I'm now going to ask Linda to share a few words with us.
Nobody else had to give a speech.
Is that a lifetime?
Whoa, I'm a little humbled by this. It's amazing that as a volunteer we give a little, but we get so much back. And my years of volunteering have given me so much back, and I've grown so much. I remember the first breakfast meeting I went to and Mike Forrest was sitting beside me, and he asked me who I was, and told him. And I said, I'm with Crossroads, and I'm here to put death into living. And he kind of rolled his eyes, and that was and it took off from there. It was so exciting what happened in the community when you come together. We built a hospice in this community, and we will accomplish lots of other things too. Just all being connected and supporting each other, and don't come together in competition, come together in compassion, and we will build what we need to in this community. Thank you.
So tonight we're pleased to add 6 new names to our honor roll and 1 more name to our Lifetime Volunteer plaque. So I'd like to now invite all of the evening's award recipients to join me on stage to unveil the plaque. In the foyer at City Hall, we proudly display our volunteer honor roll that lists the names of the volunteers who've received awards since 1997. So will all this year's recipients please join me on stage. All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I want to thank Marco again for his inspiring remarks tonight. I want to thank again, absolutely. I want to thank again our sponsor, Fortis BC, for making this evening possible. And a big round of applause to the city staff that helped make this event happen. They pull it all together. The city's volunteer services staff and event team members, Debbie, Jimena, Wendy, and Rob. Thank you. I wake up every morning feeling like I hit the lottery because serving as your mayor and working with our city council is the honor of my life. And I want to thank all of you for joining us here this evening and for everything you do to make Port Coquitlam such a special place. Thank you again and congratulations to all this evening's nominees and award recipients.